Let me ask you a question. Which cult remains seated for a child with cancer? Who asked the blacks to stay home during the hands-off protest? Who funds MS13 and BLM? People on the left, do we fund MS13? Because I haven't paid my membership dues yet this month, and I don't remember that being something that we were checking a box for. My dude, Trump was using that kid with cancer as a prop, and you're using that kid as a prop right now. You cannot claim that you care about kids with cancer while cutting funding to children's cancer research. That's exactly what Trump did. You can't claim to care about kids with cancer if you set up a charity for kids with cancer and funnel that money into your own account. Now, when Trump was making that speech about that kid, the Democrats did not stand because they understood what he was doing, using that kid as a prop. But I don't agree with that decision, because I know his administration put that kid there so that he could call attention to him during the speech and not have them stand up so that you guys could say, look how evil the Democrats are. They hate children with cancer. Let me ask you a question, though. If the roles would have been reversed and it would have been a Democratic president and a kid with cancer there, do you think the Republicans would have stood up? I don't think they would, especially since the Democratic president would probably be saying that we're going to do everything that we can to add funding to children's cancer research, not take away from it. Now let's move on to your next point. Why did Democrats ask the blacks to stay home during the hands-off protest? Because we were trying to keep them protected. You see, we understand that when there's a protest and it's almost all white people, police are far less likely to get violent. And we're not stupid. We know what Trump's trying to do. He wants for these protests to get out of control so that he has an excuse to declare martial law. Besides that, it was a bunch of white people that put Trump back into office, so whenever he acts out and does wrong, it's on us to protest him. Now let's get to your last point, and I love that you equated BLM with MS13, acting like they're both gangs or something. That just lets everybody know how racist you are, but I'll answer your question anyway. I know this is a very hard concept for MAGA, but there's a thing online called a search engine, and if you ask it a question, sometimes it will answer that question. The Black Lives Matter movement is funded by a mix of sources, including individual donations, corporate contributions, and grants from foundations. Large companies like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Coca-Cola, and others. Do you think that MS13 has that sort of representation? They get contributions from organizations like the Ford Foundation and the Open Society Foundation. They sometimes get federal grants, so on some level, America is funding them. And they also receive celebrity donations, which I'm sure you see as the deep state. As where MS13 is largely funded by crime. So, are you beginning to see your hypocrisy and racism now? You don't, do you? Of course you don't.